Who are you looking forward to matching up against?
Everybody, honestly. I'm just so excited to compete.
Paige Bueckers, she ain't going to be Caitlin Clark. Not now, not today, not ever. Sorry, it ain't going to happen.
Why hasn't Middle America given Paige Bueckers the Caitlin Clark treatment?
Well, the ratings are out. How much Paige Bueckers is moving the needle? There's already statistical evidence. No, she is not moving the needle in women's sports or women's basketball nearly to the effect of Caitlin Clark.
Paige Bueckers has had one of the best careers in the history of women's college basketball. And looking at these ratings for the women's tournament, it is abundantly clear Paige Bueckers might be a star, but she's not a draw.
Something just happened, and it's got the entire basketball world talking. Paige Bueckers says she wants the same treatment Caitlin Clark gets.
The light that I have now as a white woman who leads a black-led sport and celebrated here, I want to show a light on black women. They don't get the media coverage that they deserve.
Paige Bueckers, racially confused, speaks like a lot of your friends do. I always told guys, why do you guys speak different when you're talking to an African-American person? Paige Bueckers is that girl. A little racially confused, sexual orientation to be determined, but Caitlin Clark was not.
But here's the problem. There's only one Caitlin Clark.
And a lot of people are saying, oh, everything is she was Caitlin before Caitlin, she's better than Caitlin, all this stuff. That kind of stopped in the media. Caitlin Clark put up better numbers in the WNBA than Paige did in college.
You don't get the spotlight just because you show up. You earn it.
The ladies of the WNBA are racist, sexist, and insecure, and they can't stand, for whatever the reason, that Caitlin Clark has a better game than they've ever had, any of them, even the white lady.
And Caitlin? She earned every headline.
Caitlin Clark was clearly heterosexual, handled herself with grace, just balled out and competitive as hell between the lines, but very nice, subdued, and hung out with her boyfriend off the court. That is a formula for disaster with the angry lesbians of the WNBA, particularly when you're Caitlin Clark and you dominate the scene, you dominate the ads, you dominate being on television and everything about television.
Every sold-out arena.
Caitlin Clark has taken women's college basketball by storm. It's because she's white, and all of her fans are white, and they're all racist.
I'm looking forward to seeing Caitlin Clark play. That are mad she's on national TV. They're going to brutalize her again.
And every deal in the game.
The Caitlin Clark effect is real. There's evidence of that in college women's basketball ratings, and there's evidence of that now in the 2025 WNBA draft on ESPN delivered the second most viewed WNBA draft ever, averaging 1.25 million viewers. The spin is real from the media.
So when someone steps up demanding her level of attention without putting in her level of dominance, we've got to call it what it is, delusion.
Paige Bueckers is coming in, and she's going to be a driving force.
Clark is going against Paige and Dejanay. ESPN today, when they were talking about Paige, one of them says, I think Paige will be a good player this year, but I'm not expecting a Caitlin-like impact, and that's an unfair bar to set. Dallas Wings using the promo poster of Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark to hype that game up.
If you're riding with Caitlin, if you know who truly changed the game, drop CC 100% in the comments right now.
Caitlin Clark really did get the rookie treatment during her early months with the Fever. She got absolute racist, sexist treatment and abuse. That wasn't rookie treatment they gave her.
Let's make it loud. Let's make it clear. The real queen of the court doesn't ask for respect. She takes it.
2025 WNBA draft average 1.5, the second highest ratings ever. So its peak was 1 million viewers less than the average for the Caitlin Clark experience. The viewership literally got cut in half. Hell of a lot of people said, Caitlin Clark's gone. I'm going to do something else with my day. And of course, last year, Caitlin Clark came out. The WNBA saw its far and away biggest rating ever for the WNBA draft.
Before anyone talks about who deserves Caitlin Clark level treatment, we need to understand what Caitlin actually accomplished.
Caitlin Clark got beat up last year because Caitlin Clark was everything the women who she stood on the shoulders of weren't. She was a nice, straight girl that balled hard, had a different game, and it pissed everybody off, including the little gals on ESPN.
Because this isn't just about buzz. This is about numbers, influence, and historic dominance.
We want to see Caitlin Clark, and we want to see Paige Bueckers.
Caitlin scored more points per game, but Paige was more efficient.
Caitlin Clark didn't walk into the WNBA expecting a red carpet. She built the carpet with her game. She's not some carefully crafted media experiment. She's a once-in-a-generation talent who forced the world to pay attention by doing things we've never seen before.
She is the chosen one, as they say. That may not be the case for Bueckers. For those of you wondering if Paige's acceptance into the WNBA will be different than Caitlin, delusional fan base that follows Caitlin Clark disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go into that league and tear it apart.
We're talking about the NCOA's all-time leading scorer, male or female. We're talking about multiple 40-point triple-doubles in college. We're talking about averaging 30 points a night and dropping dimes like Magic Johnson while pulling up from the logo like Steph Curry.
She got sexist, racist treatment from sexist, racist women.
This woman didn't just raise the bar, she became the bar. When Caitlin entered the 2024 WNBA draft, it didn't just trend, it exploded. Over 2.5 million people tuned in to watch that draft.
She is not only the needle mover, she is the needle. But at this point, it's pretty clear Caitlin Clark is driving the bus and driving the sales.
When she made her rookie debut, the WNBA viewership spiked by 200%. Road games suddenly sold out. Ticket resale prices skyrocketed. Cities that never cared about women's basketball were now begging to host her next game. Indiana Fever's home attendance jumped a jaw-dropping 265% from the previous year. All because one player put on a jersey. Caitlin Clark turned women's basketball into must-watch television. She didn't ask for attention. She commanded it. Her games outdrew NBA broadcasts. Networks like ESPN, Fox, and CBS weren't doing her favors.
If I was the WNBA, I would have considered a separate television package to a network on just Caitlin Clark games. I would have had two packages, the WNBA package, and then a separate, let's say, 15 to 18 game Caitlin Clark package.
They were chasing her ratings. And while she did all that, she kept it classy. No political rants, no off-court drama, no gimmicks. Just a girl with a ball and a mission to change the sport. Her impact didn't stop at the buzzer. Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, and every major brand lined up to work with her. She became the highest paid NIL athlete in women's sports history.
I'm looking forward to seeing Caitlin Clark play. That are mad she's on national TV. They're going to brutalize her again.
That wasn't handed to her. That wasn't because of speeches. That was because her game did the talking and the world listened. So when someone like Paige Bueckers shows up and says she wants that treatment, we have to be real. This isn't something you can request. This is something you earn. And Caitlin Clark didn't just earn it. She redefined what it means to be a superstar in women's sports.
Paige Bueckers is woke as hell. She's going to come into the league and join the WNBA activism. She's probably not going to be embraced over that because we are sick of it.
The life that I have now as a white woman who leads a black-led sport and celebrated here, I want to show a light on black women. They don't get the media coverage that they deserve. They've given so much to the sport and the community and society as a whole, and their value is undeniable. The WNBA, last season, the postseason awards, 80% of the winners were black, but they got half the coverage as the white athletes. So I think it's time for change. Sports media holds the key to storylines. Sports media and sponsors tell us who is valuable, and you have told the world that I matter today, and everyone who voted, thank you. But I think we should use this power together to also celebrate black women.
Don't you realize these black girls all paved the road that she's traveling, that these black women built the WNBA, that these black women carried women's basketball, and now all the racists love women's basketball because they're racist and they have Caitlin Clark. Just not true.
And as long as she comes in the league and she joins the likes of Dejanay Carrington and all these others that are always promoting some kind of activism, she's not going to know. Why? Because sports fans want to watch damn sport.
Let's get one thing straight. This so-called Caitlin versus Paige rivalry, it wasn't born in the gym. It was cooked up in conference rooms and newsrooms with headlines ready before Paige Bueckers even stepped into the pros. And while fans showed up for greatness, the media showed up with an agenda. The moment Paige declared for the WNBA draft, ESPN and legacy outlets went into overdrive. They plastered her face everywhere, pumped out highlight reels, and tried to sell the idea that Paige was the real face of women's basketball. Not because of her stats, not because of her dominance, but because they were desperate to find someone, anyone, who could fit their preferred narrative better than Caitlin Clark. And why? Because Caitlin doesn't play by their script. She's not political enough. She's not angry enough. She doesn't stand on the podium and give speeches about activism. She doesn't check the boxes. She checks the scoreboard. And for some people in sports media, that's a threat.
The Monica McNutts and the Chimmies of the world and all the other clowns at ESPN that have tried to paint Caitlin Clark as popular for one reason, and that being a white girl.
So they turned to Paige, the player who once made headlines for centering black women in her 2021 ESPY speech, the one who toes the line of every social cause, who speaks the language of woke media. She was perfect for their playbook. But here's the problem. She's not Caitlin Clark. Paige's draft was supposed to be another ratings bonanza. Instead, it was a disaster. Ratings dropped by 50% compared to Caitlin's draft the year before. Fan interest nosedived. The excitement wasn't there. Why? Because you can't manufacture magic. The world wasn't waiting for another speech. They were waiting for that it factor, that spark, that unmistakable greatness that Caitlin brought every single night. Let's not ignore the facts. Paige Bueckers, as talented as she is, hasn't moved the needle. Not in college and not in the pros. Her college career started strong but fizzled due to injuries and inconsistency. She didn't show up in big moments. She didn't carry her team through record-breaking runs. She was absent during the most historic era of women's basketball, a moment Caitlin owned. But none of that stopped the media spin. We saw ESPN run promos with Caitlin and Paige side by side, trying to build hype off Caitlin's name to give Paige relevance. We watched networks push the idea that Paige was more efficient, or Caitlin before Caitlin, as if that erases the fact that Caitlin Clark has broken nearly every record that exists and changed the game in ways we haven't seen in decades.
Eaton Thomas contrasts how white Americans view the two based on stark differences in speaking out against racial injustice. Quote, perhaps it's because, unlike Clark, Bueckers has always been outspoken about issues off the court, Thomas wrote in a Guardian article. At the 2021 ESPYs, Bueckers was named the College Athlete of the Year. She used her acceptance speech to celebrate and honor black women in particular. In Bueckers' famous ESPYs speech, she used her platform to recognize those who didn't get the same recognition as her, specifically highlighting black women. While black America cheered Bueckers, it seemed like mainstream white America, a demographic once viewed her as, in her words, a media darling, weren't singling out her praises. Is it a coincidence, or maybe because her injuries have made people forget her greatness as an athlete? But she's back from injury, and now why aren't people focused on Bueckers as they were Clark last year when she was tearing up college basketball? Maybe if Bueckers had delivered a more vanilla ESPY speech, things would be different. This is a completely embarrassing article. Caitlin Clark is a worldwide phenomenon whose playing style has drawn a level of hype that hasn't been seen in basketball in a decade.
Let's talk hypocrisy. When Caitlin walked into the league, she got no favors. She got elbows to the face, technical fouls, frozen out by teammates, dismissed by veterans, and scrutinized at every turn. Meanwhile, Paige is being embraced by the same media machine that torched Caitlin. She's getting protected, not tested. But here's what they're ignoring. Fans can smell fake. They know when something's real and when it's being shoved down their throat. And that's why Paige's rise feels forced. Because it is. This isn't about race. This isn't about activism. This isn't about who gave the better speech at the ESPYs. This is about results. This is about who fans pay to see, who drives viewership, who changes the trajectory of a league. Caitlin Clark didn't just get attention. She made women's basketball a national event. She brought in viewers who had never watched a women's game in their life. She filled seats, broke streaming records, and shifted the conversation. She earned everything. Paige? She walked into the league asking for Caitlin-level treatment, but without Caitlin-level receipts. The media tried to frame her as the more socially aware version of Clark, the one who gets it. But this isn't about getting the media's approval. This is about getting the ball in your hands and changing the game. And Caitlin did that. Paige didn't. So the next time you hear some anchor on ESPN tell you that Paige Bueckers is about to take over, ask yourself this: is she dominating the court, or is she dominating press releases? Because only one of those things brings fans to their feet. And that's why Caitlin
Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball. Period.
She just brings so much passion to the game, and look at all these people that just want to come and see her.
It is no secret that the Indiana Fever are the most popular team in the WNBA. It is good for the entire WNBA.
Let's stop sugarcoating it. Let's stop pretending this is some friendly rivalry or healthy comparison. This is a reality check. Paige Bueckers doesn't just want Caitlin Clark treatment. She feels entitled to it. But the thing is, Caitlin didn't get treatment. She got tested. She got bullied, battered, and bruised, and she still rose.
They see a little white girl, straight girl, and they crush her. They don't understand that her game is just different.
You want Caitlin Clark's treatment? Be ready to be elbowed in the face and get called for a foul when you're the one who got hit. Be ready to get frozen out by teammates while still dishing out the most assists in the league. Be ready to get called a racist just for being good at your job. Be ready to carry the weight of an entire league on your shoulders while being told you're only famous because you're white. That's the Caitlin Clark treatment, and Paige wouldn't last a week under it. Let's talk performance under pressure. When the lights are the brightest, Caitlin ignites. Clutch moments, she thrives. Down to the wire, she demands the ball, and she delivers, time and time again. Meanwhile, Paige Bueckers fades into the background. In those high-stakes moments, Paige isn't elevating her team. She's disappearing.
Paige Bueckers ain't Caitlin Clark and will never be on the court. ESPN continuing their Caitlin Clark erasure agenda.
And if you think that's an exaggeration, just look at the tape. The energy is different. The impact is different. The effect is different. That's what separates the greats from the hype. Now let's talk numbers. Caitlin didn't just lead in points. She shattered records. She's in the NCAA history books, not just as a women's player, but as the all-time scoring leader across genders. She did it with flair, creativity, and a skill set that blends Steph Curry's shooting range with Steve Nash's playmaking.
First overall pick of the WNBA draft, Paige Bueckers. Will she
Caitlin is a highlight machine who lives in the top 10 plays of the week, every week. Paige, her numbers are good, not legendary, not historic, just good. Barely cracks 20 points a game. Assist numbers, average. Game-changing moments, scarce. For all the hype, she's never let a seismic rating spike. Never been the engine behind a sold-out
366,000. A new record for a female athlete. Caitlin is the needle. Smashed the old record held by Serena by $100,000.
Who's going to be the next face of the NBA? We don't get to decide that. The marketplace decides that. The people have chosen Caitlin Clark. They enjoy watching her play, her style, her energy, her shot. Whether it's because her game mirrors one of the greatest players in the NBA in Steph Curry or not, I don't know what it is. It's an intangible thing, right? Yes, we can say she's a dog. Okay, there's been other dogs. Okay, she's a great shooter. There's been other great shooters. She has it. She's got the thing.
And for Caitlin Clark to have the awareness to drive the eyeballs there, you have to give her so much credit.
Now let's address the uncomfortable truth nobody in legacy media wants to say out loud. Paige is being used as a pawn, a tool in a game to knock Caitlin down. While Clark is out there making women's basketball a household conversation, the media is working overtime to replace her with someone they can control. Someone who doesn't make waves by just playing the game. Someone who delivers a polished speech instead of a 40-point triple-double. Paige fits the script. She checks the activist boxes. She talks about racial equity. She mentions injustice.
That would not stop media spin. We knew this would happen.
She speaks the language of ESPN's gatekeepers. And there's nothing wrong with caring about social issues. But let's be real. That's not what's getting people to arenas. That's not what's making little kids scream in the stands. That's not what's making dads cry after getting their daughter Caitlin's autograph. Caitlin's greatness isn't wrapped in a speech. It's stamped into her stat sheet. And then there's the financial side. Caitlin's NIL deals shattered records, $366,000 in one shot.
Caitlin Clark has taken women's college basketball by storm. It's because she's white, and all of her fans are white, and they're all racist.
I'm looking forward to seeing Caitlin Clark play. That are mad she's on national TV. They're going to brutalize her again.
Nike, State Farm, Gatorade. The biggest brands in the world aren't dumb. They don't hand out checks to players who might be great. They invest in those who already are. And Caitlyn's not just making bank. She's making history. Paige? She's got a few sponsors, sure, but nowhere near the level of Caitlyn. And it's not because she's not marketable. It's because the market already made its choice. Even beyond the money, Caitlyn changed what it means to be a women's basketball player. She brought in a fan base that never cared before. She made people cancel dinner plans just to catch a Fever game. Her impact is measurable in ticket sales, in jersey numbers, in viewership spikes, and in the culture. And yet, instead of celebrating that, the league, the media, and even some players have tried to drag her down. She gets hated from all directions. And why? Because she's great and unapologetic about it. Because she doesn't need to pander. Because she doesn't bow to narratives.
Yo, man, we should be talking about her the way we talked about Caitlin Clark last year.
People will hate Caitlin Clark for any reason and make it about race.
We got Caitlin, we got Paige, we got Juju. Who do you think will shine the brightest?
Well, that's exactly why I'm not picking Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin lets her jumper speak, and that's a language everyone understands. But Paige, she's shielded by the same machine that tried to bury Caitlin. She hasn't been attacked, targeted, or physically brutalized by veterans who feel threatened. She hasn't had to survive locker room tension or social media mobs just for showing up and doing her job. She's protected, wrapped in press releases, surrounded by applause before the work is even done. And still, the fans aren't buying it. The ratings don't lie. The ticket sales don't lie. The merchandise numbers don't lie. The social media engagement doesn't lie. Caitlin Clark is the moment. Paige is the media's project. And you can't force that. You can't fake that. You can't Photoshop greatness into existence. The throne belongs to the one who earned it. And Caitlin Clark earned it through blood, sweat, buckets, and brilliance. So if Paige wants Caitlin-level treatment, let's be honest, she'll have to go through Caitlin-level war. And so far, she hasn't even walked onto the battlefield.
They like Caitlin Clark because she's not a victim, because she doesn't seem to be angry. And so they find her relatable. She's not playing with anger. She's not playing with a sense of entitlement. And yes, people find that relatable. She shoots logo threes, passes the ball like Magic Johnson, scores a lot of points, leads the league in assists. She's a great, great player, and she plays and shoots and releases the ball like Steph Curry. So there's the attraction to the exciting style of play.
At the end of the day, this isn't about who wants Caitlin Clark treatment. It's about who's earned it. And there's only one name that checks every box. On the court, at the box office, and in the hearts of millions. That name is Caitlin Clark. Paige Bueckers can deliver all the speeches she wants. The media can push as many comparisons as they like. But facts don't lie, fans don't lie, and the game sure doesn't lie. Caitlin Clark didn't ask for the spotlight. She became the spotlight. She didn't demand attention. She commanded it with every shot, every pass, every historic performance. So to everyone still pushing the Paige narrative, understand this. You can't duplicate a force of nature. You can't manufacture what Caitlin Clark brings every night. She's not just playing basketball. She's redefining it. If you know who the real face of women's basketball is, if you believe greatness should be earned, not handed out, then drop CC 100% in the comments right now. Let's shut down the noise, silence the spin, and show the world who really changed the game. Because there's only one Caitlin Clark, and trust me, she's just getting started.